When you think about aging, what instantly pops into your head? Maybe it's the, creaky joints, the occasional memory lapse, or perhaps just more doctor's appointments. It's so easy to slip into that familiar narrative of decline, isn't it? But what if aging wasn't about simply enduring or even just coping? What if it was about actively thriving, uncovering new capacities you didn't even know you had, and truly discovering unexpected gifts along the way? Today, we're taking a deep dive into Duncan's Guide to Healthy Aging. It's a comprehensive and, frankly, really empowering resource by Duncan Reinhardt, PhD. This isn't just a book. It feels more like a genuine roadmap for how to live better and, well, for longer.
Exactly. And our mission for you today is to really unpack the guide's core insights on proactive aging, because when you look at the statistics, they're pretty striking. The foreword mentions a JAMA study, that's the Journal of the American Medical Association, that followed over 100,000 middle-aged U.S. health professionals. And they found that a dishearteningly small number, only about 9%, had aged healthfully.
Only 9%. Wow.
Yeah. And healthfully meant reaching 70 without major chronic diseases and with their cognitive, physical, and mental health truly intact. So this deep dive is for you, whether you're approaching 70 or maybe well beyond, to sustain or even dramatically improve your well-being.
Okay, so let's unpack this common narrative then. Because the usual media images and, popular perceptions of seniors, they rarely showcase capability or creativity or productivity. Instead, we get bombarded with ads for anti-wrinkle creams or, like, joint pain relief. But this guide immediately challenges that narrow view.
It absolutely does. And what's so inspiring right from the start are the sheer number of examples of seniors who are utterly defying expectations. I mean, take Fauja Singh. He completed his last marathon at nearly 102 years old.
102.
Yes. And get this, he only started running seriously at 89.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? Or Betty Jean McHugh finished the Honolulu Marathon at 88, smashing the previous record by like 92 minutes. Then there's Paul Friedman. He completed the London Marathon at 90 after having a heart attack at 79.
No way.
Yes, and he raised over 100,000 pounds for charity doing it. And Harriet Thompson, she became the oldest woman to finish a marathon at 92. And then she did it again at 94.
Wow.
And she was a two-time cancer survivor and a former concert pianist.
Just amazing stories.
And if that's not enough to blow your mind, Sister Madonna Barter, she's completed over 350 triathlons since age 52. And she holds the world record as the oldest woman to complete an Ironman. The 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, 26.2-mile run at 82.
That's an Ironman at 82. That's just phenomenal. And these aren't just a handful of unique outliers, are they? The guide really makes that point.
No, not at all. That's key. The guide highlights that these are inspiring, sure, but also part of a larger trend. Like in the 2024 NYC Marathon, 6% of finishers, that's nearly 3,400 people, were 60 or older.
6% is still a pretty significant number.
It really is. The oldest male finisher was Garth Barfoot at 88, and the oldest female was Tamara Buchanan at 80. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is that it's not just about athletic feats. The guide also celebrates incredible creative and productive achievements in later life. Think of Verdi and Strauss composing operas in their 80s and 90s. Georgia O'Keeffe painting into her 90s, even with impaired vision.
Right.
Grandma Moses didn't even start painting seriously until she was 78.
That's always amazed me.
Yeah. And more recently, Margaret Atwood published the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale at 81. Leonard Cohen released his last album just before his death at 82. Bob Dylan is still touring, approaching 80. These examples really push back hard on that idea that, our best years are automatically behind us.
The powerful takeaway here seems crystal clear. You don't need to be an elite athlete or a world-renowned artist to redefine your later years. The core message is that you can be active, productive, vibrant, really challenging that whole peak and decline narrative society often pushes. But let's be real for a moment. It's easy to read about these amazing individuals and feel inspired, right? And then you look at your own life and think about maybe how much you resist change. The guide shares a really relatable story about a 65-year-old friend with prediabetes who, when faced with lifestyle changes, just said, "I'm too old. You can't teach an old dog new tricks." Does that sound familiar?
Oh, absolutely. It resonates, doesn't it? And this brings up an important question. Why do we resist change, especially as we get older? There's that great quote from Peter Senge, "People don't resist change. They resist being changed." Often it boils down to a fear of uncertainty, or maybe a perceived loss of control. But Duncan Reinhardt's guide helps us reframe this. It says, we actually have a powerful choice in how we respond to aging. We can choose to lean into making changes, sometimes profound changes in our diet, physical activity, sleep, stress management.
So it's about agency, really.
Exactly.
Right.
And what Duncan's guide truly reveals about change, it's less about sheer willpower, It's more about building a supportive ecosystem around yourself. It's about understanding the why behind the change, finding the personal benefits that really resonate with you, and leveraging your existing strengths like what's worked for you before when you made changes.
Right. Build on past successes.
Yes. And crucially, it's about nurturing both your mindset with positivity and cultivating a strong support network. It all kind of works together to make sustained change actually possible.
And the guide makes a fascinating point, too, about how subtle fears like a fear of learning or fear of change, sophophobia and metathesiophobia, I think they're called,
That's right.
even if they're not like clinical phobias, they can quietly hold us back. It's that little voice saying, oh, I'm too old for that, or why rock the boat now?
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing those internal resistances, as the guide points out, that seems to be the very first step to moving past them and embracing new possibilities. Okay, now let's dive into some terms we hear all the time. Health, well-being, and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
They get tossed around interchangeably, right? Especially when talking about seniors.
Yeah.
But Duncan's guide makes some really important distinctions here.
It does, and understanding them is pretty crucial for a proactive approach to aging. So if health, according to Merriam-Webster, is basically being sound in body, mind, or spirit, especially freedom from physical disease or pain.
Which is often what medicine focuses on, right? Just the absence of sickness.
Exactly. The guide notes that modern medicine often focuses almost exclusively on that, but then well-being, as defined by the World Health Organization, expands that. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity.
Okay, so broader, more holistic feeling.
Right. But wellness, this is where the real power lies, particularly for seniors. The Global Wellness Institute defines it as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health.
Active pursuit. That's the key phrase.
That's the key. So if health is just not being sick and well-being is feeling good overall, then wellness is the active choices you make every single day to achieve that deeper holistic state.
It's intentional.
Very intentional. It's the conscious pursuit of feeling truly whole. And for seniors, the guide breaks this down into 6 key dimensions. There's physical exercise, diet, sleep, reducing alcohol, stopping tobacco, healthy weight. Then mental or cognitive reading, learning new things, intellectual challenges to slow or prevent dementia.
Keeps the brain sharp.
Exactly. Then emotional health, managing stress, healthy awareness and expression of emotions. Spiritual health, connecting to meaning and purpose, living that purpose. Social health, healthy relationships, family, friends, community activities. And finally, environmental health, lessening our adverse impacts on nature, improving the environment for future generations.
That environmental piece is interesting, adds another layer.
It does, a sense of legacy too, perhaps.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for many seniors, I think. Because one of the biggest fears as we age is losing independence, right? So actively pursuing physical and mental wellness isn't just about feeling better. It can actually prolong your independence, and the evidence for that is strong.
Incredibly strong, absolutely. And what's fascinating here is how these different dimensions of wellness aren't isolated silos. They deeply interact. For example, joining a walking group isn't just boosting your physical health.
It's social, too.
Right. It's enhancing your social connections and probably even your emotional well-being because you're connecting with people. Or maybe taking up a new hobby, like learning guitar. That challenges your cognitive health, but it often leads to new social circles too, like a jam session or a class.
It's synergistic.
That's the perfect word. It's a truly synergistic approach.
All of this sounds wonderful, really inspiring. But how do you actually implement these changes in your life? The guide wisely acknowledges that it takes consistent effort, you mentioned 3 to 6 months typically, to truly change habits, and that getting the right support is often essential. So who are the key players on this wellness team who can provide that support?
Yeah, the guide outlines several crucial types of professionals who can partner with you. First, there are lifestyle medicine practitioners. This is actually a medical specialty. It focuses on using therapeutic lifestyle interventions like diet, exercise, stress management as a primary way to treat chronic conditions.
Like heart disease, type 2 diabetes.
Exactly. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine, ACLM, states that something like 80% of chronic conditions can be treated, prevented, or even reversed through lifestyle changes.
80%, that's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Then you have clinical psychologists and therapists. These folks are essential for mental and behavioral health care. They help navigate lifestyle changes, maybe heal relationships, adjust to health declines, or cope with loneliness, loss, grief, changes in self-worth, all that stuff.
And their credentials. What should people look for?
You'll see things like LPC, licensed professional counselor, LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, or PhD, PsyD for psychologists. If it's an MD or DO, they're usually a psychiatrist who can also prescribe medication. And a really valuable resource, especially for long-term behavior change, are certified health and wellness coaches. You want to look for those with the NBHWC certification. That's National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. They are trained behavior change agents who partner with you.
So they don't just tell you what to do.
No, they empower you to make self-directed, lasting changes. Many also hold ICF credentials, International Coaching Federation, like ACC, PCC, or MCC, that indicates high coaching standards. And of course, dietitians or registered dietitians, RDs. They are recognized medical professionals, the real experts in creating eating plans.
How are they different from a nutritionist?
Well, the term nutritionist isn't always regulated, so training can vary widely. RDs have specific degrees, internships, and licensing. Though certified nutritionists do complete accredited programs, it's just RDs are generally considered the medical standard. And finally, certified personal trainers, often with certifications like ACSM CPT from the American College of Sports Medicine. They design and help you engage in exercise programs tailored to you.
That's a really helpful lineup of potential support. The guide really emphasizes choosing highly credentialed individuals in these fields, doesn't it?
It does. It can genuinely make a huge difference, not just in building wellness and staying independent, but also potentially in minimizing long-term medical costs down the line.
So, okay, we've talked about challenging narratives, the psychology of change, defining wellness, building a team. What does this all mean for our actual perspective on aging? The guide makes this profound point. Despite what advertising or maybe popular culture tells us, getting older isn't just about decline. In fact, it brings a surprising array of benefits gifts, as the guide calls them.
It's so true, and it really can shift your perspective when you focus on these. I mean, beyond the obvious senior discounts.
Always nice.
Always nice. Many people find their allergies actually decline with age. And here's something fascinating the guide mentions. A survey found 74% of men and 70% of women over 60 reported greater satisfaction with sex than when they were in their 40s.
Really? That's counterintuitive to the usual narrative.
Absolutely. And seniors often gain a much greater perspective on what's truly important, a refined ability to problem solve, drawn from years of experience. They also typically have more time to help others, to learn new skills, to finally try those hobbies they've always dreamed of.
More quality time with loved ones, too, hopefully.
Yes, definitely. And here's a really uplifting point. The guide notes that seniors are actually among the happiest groups of people.
Happier. Why is that?
Largely because, over time, they've developed better coping skills, they've learned how to deal with hardship, and they're simply more comfortable in their own skin. Less concerned with what others think, perhaps.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And of course, there's the sheer joy of grandchildren, often without the sleepless nights of parenting. It's genuinely an opportunity to pursue deferred dreams and find a whole new level of fulfillment. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Becca Levy, a Yale professor, wrote a book called Breaking the Age Code. She found this longevity advantage. Seniors who held positive views on aging actually lived, on average, 7.5 years longer than those with negative views.
7.5 years. Just from mindset.
That's what her research suggests. It's powerful, which raises an important question for all of us.
Right. Given these surprising benefits, the guide really prompts us to consider some powerful reflective questions. Like, what has been your best experience as a senior citizen so far? What strengths have you found in yourself during this stage of life? What gives you meaning and purpose now? And how can you use your experience and strengths to genuinely live that purpose?
Deep questions.
They really are. And what aspects of yourself did you maybe neglect while you were busy building a career or raising a family, and how can you reclaim them now? And finally, what would you like to do in the years remaining to end this life with as much peace and fulfillment as possible? These are truly transformative things to think about. The guide then goes even deeper into what it calls one of the most profound gifts of aging, the concept of depth. But
Yeah.
what exactly is depth when we talk about human experience? It sounds a bit abstract.
It can feel that way, but the guide offers a really unique perspective from someone identified only as one senior citizen. This person defines depth as something that comes from experiencing universal human suffering, the loss, the pain, grief, fear, but crucially, also moments of great joy, unlimited love, and deep serenity and peace.
So it's born from the full spectrum of life.
Exactly. It's about sharing our unpolished, undefended humanness, which allows us to heal ourselves and connect more genuinely with others. It stands in stark contrast to, say, surface level interactions or just fulfilling societal roles. When we interact with depth, there's an unpracticed authenticity, a fully present, genuine, and humble humanness. It means relaxing our defenses, lowering our masks, and connecting heart to heart, soul to soul, getting closer to our true selves.
That's a remarkably profound perspective. It's about stripping away the pretense and really connecting on a fundamental human level. It sounds vulnerable, but also very real.
Very real. And for comparison, just to offer another angle, the guide also includes a definition of depth that was generated by ChatGPT.
Oh, interesting. What did the AI say?
Well, ChatGPT's response, generated back on Jan 5, 2025 apparently, defined depth more broadly as a quality of profound understanding or insight built over time through experience, reflection, and growth. It said depth goes beyond surface-level knowledge, perceiving complexity, subtlety, nuance. And then it broke depth down into 8 key ways it can manifest: emotional, intellectual, philosophical, spiritual, experiential, relational, narrative, and cultural social depth.
So a much more categorized, almost academic approach compared to the first one.
Yes, quite different in feel.
What stands out to you listening to those? You decide which description of depth resonates more, or maybe what depth truly means for you in your own life. It's food for thought. It's truly inspiring to consider aging as potentially a journey towards such profound depth. But how do we bridge these powerful, sometimes philosophical insights with the day-to-day realities of living better, longer? The guide moves us smoothly into some incredibly practical steps, starting with how we physically move our bodies. Okay, let's talk brass tacks. How do we actually do this when it comes to exercise?
Right, the practical application. And it's crucial to consult a physician first, always. But Duncan's guide provides really solid principles for structuring your physical wellness. The real insight here, I think, isn't about memorizing exact numbers, but understanding the holistic approach. You want to focus on 4 key areas of fitness:
Okay, what are they?
aerobic capacity, that's for your heart, lungs, circulatory system; strength for your muscles; flexibility for range of motion; and balance for stability.
Right, those 4. Got it.
Now, the guide suggests some benchmarks, general guidelines. Aim for around 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic exercise, or, if you prefer, 75 minutes of vigorous intensity.
And how do we gauge intensity? Moderate versus vigorous.
Good question. Moderate is when you're breathing harder, but you can still carry on a conversation, though maybe it's broken up by breaths. Vigorous means talking is difficult, you can only get out a few words. On top of the aerobic work, plan for 2 days per week of strength exercise. But the key takeaway isn't getting fixated on exact heart rate zones necessarily, but understanding the intensity level. Are you challenging yourself enough? And crucially, are you consistent?
Consistency seems to be a recurring theme.
It's paramount. The guide emphasizes you won't see results overnight. It takes weeks, maybe months. And remember, both stressing your body with exercise and allowing it to recover are equally important. Fitness gains happen during recovery.
Stress and recovery. Okay.
So, a typical workout structure, it should involve a 10-15-minute warm-up, easy to moderate effort, just getting your body ready. Then after your main workout, a 10-15-minute cool down at an easy pace. And stretching is vital 5 to 10 minutes or more after your cool down when muscles are warm.
And stretching, how should that feel?
Stretch to the point of discomfort, never sharp pain. Hold each stretch for about 1 to 2 minutes if possible. That seems long, but it's effective. And remember to breathe into the muscles, no bouncing. For strength training, a repetition, or rep, is one complete movement. A set is usually 8 to 12 repetitions, sometimes 15. You'd start with an easy to moderate weight, doing maybe 8-10 reps, really focusing on good form. Then gradually add more reps, then maybe add another set, and only then think about increasing the weight.
Form first, then reps, then sets, then weight.
Exactly. And recovery between sets is important, and also recovery between hard workout days. Don't do hard workouts every day.
That's a lot of helpful practical guidance. But how do you know when and how much to increase your workout without getting injured? That's a big fear for people. And the guide explicitly rejects that old no pain, no gain idea, right?
Uh-huh.
Calls it invalid and dangerous.
Absolutely, thank goodness. The guide stresses that your body needs time to adapt, typically 4 to 8 weeks, before you should consider increasing the intensity or load significantly. Gradual increases are absolutely crucial. This is true even for elite athletes. Consistency is what yields benefits and prevents injury, not pushing through pain. And always, always include your warm-up, cool down, and stretching. Don't skip those.
Okay, so how do we progress safely in different areas? Strength, for instance.
For strength training, like we touched on, progress by adding repetitions first. Maybe start with one set of 8 reps and build up gradually towards, say, 3 sets of 8-12 reps. Then, once you're comfortable doing that with good form, you can add another set. Only then do you think about increasing the weight. And when you do add weight, remember to maybe reduce your reps or sets initially and build back up slowly, always maintaining good form.
Makes sense. What about cardio or aerobic fitness?
For cardio, the progression usually comes by adding more time spent in your aerobic zone, that moderate intensity level where you can talk but are breathing noticeably. If you get into high-intensity interval training or HIIT, those short, intense bursts followed by rest, you can progress by making the intense effort a bit harder or longer or by doing more repeats. But again, listen to your body.
And core exercises. Balance. Stretching.
For core, you might add hold time, maybe 3-10 seconds to contractions. For balance, progress by adding time standing on one leg, or adding movement like moving your free leg or arms, or using things like balance boards or BOSU balls once you're ready. Even just walking heel to toe is good balance work. And stretching. The progress is simply gradually gaining a greater range of motion over time. Holding those stretches for 60 seconds, or maybe 2 30-second holds if needed, is key.
So the big takeaway here seems to be that fitness comes from consistent, intelligent effort over many months. Improvement looks different for different types of exercise, but it will come if you stick with it patiently and safely.
Precisely. Patience and consistency beat intensity every time when it comes to long-term, injury-free progress.
Now, the author of Duncan's Guide, Duncan Reinhardt himself, has nearly 50 years as a triathlete. And he shares that he's faced his own share of injuries, surgeries, and significant life setbacks. Things like divorce, job loss, even cardiac ablation and broken bones. This raises a really important question, especially for many of us. How do you recover? How do you regain health and fitness after these kinds of major challenges?
He shares 3 really powerful practices he learned through all that. First, make adjustments. This is huge. Find ways to stay active despite physical limitations. Don't just stop everything. He gives this great example of a friend undergoing prostate cancer treatment. Terrible fatigue, right? But this friend still went to the gym, even if it was just for shortened workouts with lighter weights on the days he had any energy.
Just doing something.
Yeah, exactly. That friend is now in remission and actually back to his previous fitness level. It's about adapting, not quitting. Second practice, get support. Find supportive healthcare professionals who actually understand and encourage an active lifestyle. The guide mentions the Exercise is Medicine initiative, that's from the American College of Sports Medicine and the American Medical Association. It basically states that physical activity can be as powerful as pharmaceuticals in preventing and treating many chronic diseases.
So finding doctors who believe in that.
Yes. The author found that providers who are active themselves often tend to be more supportive of patients wanting to maintain activity through challenges. And the third practice, and this is really psychological, be determined. He calls it not conceding. Don't give up mentally. He shares another powerful example of a 60-year-old ultramarathoner friend who ruptured a thigh muscle, major injury, months of healing. But this guy absolutely refused to just give up on being active. He kept walking, backpacking, doing short runs as soon as he could.
Wow, that's resilience.
It really is. And this highlights the kind of self-efficacy and positive psychology tools that say, a good health and wellness coach can help you build and maintain through tough times.
The guide uses a wonderful analogy here, saying something like, there's no shortcut through the forest of life, but these practices can truly help you navigate the physical and personal challenges of aging with resilience. I like that.
It's a great image, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, that's incredibly practical advice for recovery. But what if you're living with a chronic condition right now? Things like peripheral neuropathy, diabetes, arthritis, cancer, dementia, osteoporosis. That's a crucial question the guide addresses head on.
Yes, and the guide's answers are wonderfully simple yet profound, basically. Start with what you can do, however small. Progress slowly, very slowly if needed. Find alternatives to exercises that cause pain or you simply can't perform. And crucially, get help. A good trainer or physical therapist who understands the condition can help you modify things safely and effectively.
So it's not about not exercising, it's about exercising smartly for your condition.
Exactly. The guy gives some great examples. A friend recovering from chemotherapy for breast cancer. She'd gained weight, lost muscle, felt awful from the medication. Exercise was hard, but she started with just a few simple exercises. Very gradually, over months, built up her energy and strength. Now, her cancer hasn't returned and her energy is back.
That's fantastic.
Another example. A client discovered she had osteoporosis after a minor fall broke her wrist. Her doctor encouragingly recommended strength training, fall prevention exercises, and even walking with a light backpack to gently stress her spine, hips, and legs to stimulate bone density. She started with just bodyweight exercises, then slowly, with her trainer's help, increased weight and reps. Subsequent bone scans showed no increase in bone loss.
That's amazing, preventing further loss through targeted exercise.
Yes, the core message is undeniably clear. There's strong evidence for the benefits of exercise for many chronic conditions and aging. The absolute key is modifying the exercise to the person's current abilities. Just move what you can, and you may be amazed at how much you can gradually increase over time. Don't let the condition be a full stop.
That's incredibly hopeful and empowering advice. Now, we've covered so much about proactive aging for oneself, but there's one vital, often overlooked topic: the caregiver's dilemma. The guide opens this section with a really poignant anecdote about a frail couple, where the husband's profound devotion as a caregiver is clearly, visibly exhausting him. It's a situation many listeners or people they know can probably relate to.
Oh, it's a massive and often silent problem impacting millions. The stats are sobering. The number of unpaid family caregivers for older adults in the U.S. jumped significantly from about 18 million to over 24 million between 2011 and 2022. And the health toll on caregivers is well documented. Higher rates of mental distress, depression, asthma, obesity, other chronic physical conditions compared to non-caregivers.
They're putting their own health on the back burner.
Often, yes. And the time demands are just immense. 36 billion unpaid hours of care were provided in 2021 alone, and dementia care hours specifically increased by nearly 50% between 2011 and 2022. There's a well-known book called The 36-Hour Day, which perfectly captures this intense fatigue.
Wow. It really highlights the caregiver's dilemma, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
While there are profound rewards, feeling useful, a sense of purpose, maybe closer relationships, caregivers often become utterly drained. They neglect their own fundamental needs. It's like being on an airplane and hearing that instruction: put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others.
Exactly that. And Dr. Amy Gruber, cited in the guide, offers truly actionable self-care tips for caregivers. These aren't just platitudes, they're concrete things to do. First, you have to learn to say no sometimes and genuinely take time for yourself, even small breaks. Second, be honest with yourself and others about your capacity. Don't overcommit. Seriously, consider seeking outside expert help if needed.
That can be hard, asking for help.
It can be very hard, but it's vital. Third, don't delay your own care. Keep your doctor's appointments, manage your own health needs, carve out small personal moments, even just a quick walk or a quiet cup of coffee. Fourth, build a reliable team. People you can truly count on for support, whether emotional or practical. Fifth, delegate tasks. Ask other family members or community members to pitch in. And finally, don't hesitate to ask your community, maybe your church, neighbors, support groups for help, or just shared experiences. You're not alone.
That's such a critical and often unsaid message. There are resources available, but you as a caregiver absolutely have to care enough for yourself to seek out and actually use that care. Ultimately, taking care of yourself isn't selfish, is it? It's actually a way to provide better, more sustainable care for your loved one in the long run.
Couldn't agree more. You can't pour from an empty cup.
We've explored so much from Duncan's Guide to Healthy Aging today, and it really feels like it shifts the entire narrative around aging, doesn't it? It's not just about decline, but about these powerful choices we have, about newfound freedoms, and discovering incredible opportunities for wellness and deeper living.
Indeed. From those really inspiring senior achievements that just smash common perceptions, to the importance of proactive wellness across all 6 dimensions, and the crucial role of getting the right professional support when you need it, it provides an incredible framework. We've also delved into the true gifts of aging, things we might not expect, the profound concept of depth, those really practical exercise guidelines that feel empowering rather than overwhelming, and ending with that vital, often overlooked, need to support our caregivers. It's truly a holistic vision for aging well.
So, as you continue on your own journey, maybe think about this. How might embracing this active pursuit of wellness and maybe those unexpected profound gifts of depth, how might that truly transform your experience of aging? And perhaps, how might it even inspire those around you to live better, longer, and more fully?